Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Thank you for joining us tonight. Tonight's going to be a little bit different. We're not playing any video games, but we are playing a one-shot of D&D called The Illusions of Peace, made up by Vader421, who's our game master. And I'm also joined by my good friend, Canadian Dwarf. You can find him on Twitch. He usually streams every Tuesday night, I believe. And he does some painting of miniatures, and it's really fun, really enjoyable if you like that stuff. You can check him out. He'll be playing Gloomgrub, and then we have Moose, who's a good friend of mine from Maine. He'll be playing Chase, and then me, Govant, I'll be playing as Uthal. And Uthal is mute, so you probably won't hear my voice very much for the rest of the night. But this is gonna be very fun. They're excited about that. So yeah, we're happy to be here. And Vader, Tim is his real name, but I'll probably interlude using his name. And yeah. Take over.
All right. So, in this city, in the land of Verdum, there is a peace accords being drawn up between the human kingdom and the elven kingdom. And both sides have been at bitter wars off and on throughout the years, and the current king, King Artel Verdum, has finally been able to bring about a certain amount of peace. And so he has put together a banquet to celebrate the signing of this momentous event. Gloomgrub and Uthal are traveling as a party. Tell me, give me a rough description of your characters and a little bit about how you are planning on entering the castle area where the accords are being held.
I'll give my description first, and then you can go ahead, Dwarf, and then you can explain how we get there, because you are the bard after all. I'm just kind of the muscle and listen to what you tell me to do. So, Uthal is a rogue Goliath. He is 7'6" with deep green eyes that glow in the dark, and he has shaggy black hair which hangs loosely down to his neck. Under his clothes, which he doesn't take off very often, so boo-hoo, he has symmetrical dark patches of skin, like a tattoo, that's very deep and meaningful to him as a Goliath. But he wears brown leather armor and burnt orange robes of a long-forgotten assassin order. And he's mute. But no one besides Gloomgrub and him know why he is mute.
Gloomgrub is about 3 foot 4 inches tall. He's a goblin. He has drab gray-green skin with black hair that's pulled tightly back and neatly into a ponytail. And being a goblin, he has the yellow-red eyes. As how he's dressed, quite honestly, what you see walking before you is the typical pirate attire of the red coat with the ruffled shirt, and he walks with a matter of believing himself to be of some great importance in his movements, his actions. Him and Uthal are here at this event to be the sort of entertainment is what they've been directed as, a way of giving people a chance to possibly relax from the festivities of the signing of this treaty, and also to help ease tensions, though perhaps there's something else that they're there for.
All right. And just to get an idea, how well known are you both in this area?
Gloomgrub is known for his performance of being a sword bard, telling stories and making jokes, that sort of thing. But nobody really knows exactly what is true about him.
All right. So,
Someone was hoping for a show in the chat from my Goliath, but he's going to be very disappointed that's not going to happen.
So you all arrive, presumably a little bit early to set up your instruments and performance. As you approach, one of the guards on duty near the entrance of the castle holds up his hand and says that, all right, you two, I know you're part of the help, but we're supposed to check everyone for any weapons and stow them away for this event. No, none allowed.
Uthal stands there and just his green eyes are glowing at him from beneath his hood, and he doesn't say anything, but he kind of grunts.
Gloomgrub just looks at the guard and removes his hat and does a deep sweeping bow. My dear good friend, you see, that's not necessarily a problem for us, but I am a sword bard. I'm not a singing bard. I'm not a gesturing bard. I am a sword bard. My story and craft is done with the way of the blade, so I'm afraid I have to have some degree of a weapon if I am to tell the story of what is going on.
Go ahead and roll for persuasion. Let me know when you've got a result.
I don't know how well you're going to believe me on this, but I just got a 20.
Woo!
A 20 plus 9 for charisma.
Well, Scout's honor on that
Dang.
one. So, realizing his mistake, the guard quickly says, "Oh, yeah, I'm such an idiot. I think I've seen your performances before. Of course, of course." Turning to Uthal. But what about your weapons? I'll need them, please.
He doesn't say anything, he just grunts.
I believe my dear friend is carrying some of the other weapons on him that are part of the show to a degree. You see, he's given my stature, I'm not very, robust. But my friend here is quite how do I put this in a post shaped like a mountain.
You're not kidding at all. Well, let me at least put down in my books here what weapons are brought in, so that way, if any funny business happens, at least my end is covered. Don't want the king having my hide or anything like that for spoiling his special occasion.
I completely understand, good sir, and I will be more than happy in any way to assist you and letting you know exactly what it is I am carrying.
All right, so go ahead and, if you both are willing, show the guards your weapon and tell me what weapons and tell me what you're carrying.
Gloomgrub will remove a small hand crossbow and put it on the counter for him to see, or put him in front of it. There it is, that he can look at it, make sure there's nothing hidden or fancy about it. He'll take out a pretty ordinary plain dagger and put it down, and then he'll remove his scimitar and pass it, and the scimitar is more ornate in decoration.
Uthal will take out a couple daggers, place them on the table. Nothing really stands out about them, nor anything about his short bow or the arrows. He just kind of sets them there. And then he pulls out his rapier, which is very decorative, and it has a ruby in the hilt, and its basket hilted with gold and silver intermixed around it to make it appear beautiful. And he holds it. He doesn't put it on the table. He just holds it out for them to look at.
All right. And the guard makes minor notes on various things related to the weapons, just as he said, to cover his hide in case anything untoward should happen. And allows you both to enter in and directs you towards the main banquet hall on the second floor. As you're walking down the hallway, escorted by one of the other servants, you see that all the servants are dressed in their finest. Everyone's bustling about getting things ready. and definitely a heavy guard presence here, as they clearly, don't want anything to spoil the events. They are very, very cautious to protect this hard-fought peace. So you make your way to the banquet hall, of course, where you'll be doing some of your pre-show or pre-event performances, so to speak. There's a small little staging area off to the side, not the main stage by any means, but that's set aside for acts such as yours, minor entertainment. This room is a good-sized room, probably able to seat several hundred people with no issue. And the main center stage, I say center, but it's way against the side wall, between a couple of hearths to keep it warm in a place of central viewing raised platform, is where clearly the king and the elf diplomat will be sitting. There's several servants still bustling about setting up, and you all may begin doing whatever warm-ups and setups and various things you will do as well. And then, as you all are doing that, Chase, talk about your character and your entrance.
So, Chase is a druid, druid of the Circle of the Moon. He's very slender, kind of looks very fragile. He's a human. His appearance is very ragged. It looks like he doesn't really spend a lot of time on upkeep. He's got a kind of a scroungy beard. Doesn't look like he has bathed in a while. But he's known around the community, mostly as a hermit. Most people they're just rumors. He doesn't talk to many people. Doesn't like to be around people. And keeps to himself. He is wearing. He does have a staff with him. Looks more like a large stick. He's always wearing a cloak. Other than that, if you kind of saw him walking down the street, you probably just think he was a homeless beggar.
All right. To clarify, when you say rumors, you mean mostly of the negative sort?
Yeah, they're kind of somebody keeps to themselves. So the kids always say, "Oh, he does this," or there's rumors that just the typical rumors that people make up of people who don't fit in with the norms.
All right. And what does your entrance look like to a certain degree?
Unless you're looking for him, you wouldn't really notice him. He just kind of casually just slips in, just kind of looking around, watching the people moving and trying to listen in onto conversations. But if he doesn't stand out at all, he just kind of fits into the background.
Well, as you approach the entrance to the castle, similar to Uthal and Gloomgrub, you see a few guards gathering weapons and for what people that did bring weapons, and also other personal effects, coats, things like that, and setting them, taking them inside to be stored away. As you approach, unless you are going to try anything special, you will be stopped by the guards and, at the very least, questioned and inspected. Are you attempting to do anything special to get by them?
No.
All right. Well, in that case, when it becomes your turn, the guard says, "We need all of your weapons. It's by order of the king. All guests must turn over their weapons until the end of the evening. They will be safely stowed until then.
Yes, yes, yes. I just pull out a dagger and lay that on the table.
Looking suspiciously at the stick, the guard says, "What about that?"
The staff. I told you to take the wizard's staff.
Man, I was going to use that. You wouldn't, yeah. You wouldn't take away an old man's walking stick, would you?
Roll for persuasion at disadvantage.
Got a 10. Oh, disadvantage. I got to roll twice, don't I?
Yes.
10.
10 it is. No natural 20 for you. The guard looks at you and says, if you need an arm, one of our guards can escort you up, but we cannot allow anything of this nature brought by yourself. We might be able to find some smaller cane that you can use in the meantime as well if you should require it. All right.
Oh.
What do you do?
Well, I don't mean to cause a fuss, so I take the staff and I hand it over.
All right. And you can see that as you look inside at the back, your stuff's being stored in a sort of like a coat closet. And unless you have any other personal effects you wish to stow, you are escorted in. True to their word, a guard offers you his arm for escort. How frail do you appear?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. You can leave me alone.
The guard just kind of grunts, looks like, old man wasting my time kind of look. And you make your way into the banquet hall, where you see off to the side a performance going on. What does that look like?
What you see is this little goblin dressed as very similar to what you would think of for as a pirate, doing several different flips and movements on the stage, spinning his scimitar around and tossing it, and basically just doing tricks with a weapon to try to wow the crowd.
Ooh.
All right. And then, Chase, you have the entire area. Is there any spot or short of a couple of tables near the front that are reserved, is there any particular location you wish to sit at? Or stand?
Somewhere's in the back, away from far away from people as I can, but where I can kind of see everything.
All right. And you get a view as you see a bunch of other nobles entering in, some of them watching the entertainment, some of them picking at the various hors d'oeuvres being served, the delicacies of the kingdom. And off to the side, you do see a couple of tables with elves. They do not look at ease by any means. They are dressed in very fine clothes, trying to look with pride and represent themselves well, but clearly they look uncomfortable, and there's a noticeable space around the humans from them where they don't really want to be too close to the elves either. But besides that, everything else seems like you would normally see at a banquet. A light chatter floating about the room. If you note very carefully, some people give you a bit of a wide berth as well, though you're not elven. And as the king and the diplomat are about to enter, a couple of servants call attention, and a herald says, everyone take your seats and welcome the king, names, King Artel and the diplomat Akith. And everyone kind of respectfully, quiets and hushes and looks to the side. Gloomgrub and Uthal, this would be a known time for you. It was discussed in advance to kind of just find a place to stand off to the side for the moment while some of the ceremonial pieces of this event come into play. So the king and the diplomat, both looking very very regal, walk up to the dais and both stand, shake each other's hand once, and have a seat. And in front of them, a servant places a long scroll, a very fine-looking scroll. And before anything else, the king stands up and gives a speech. Everyone kind of is handed out goblets for toasting as well. The king says, "My people, Verdamites, we are here to celebrate an historic moment. We celebrate peace. Never before have the two countries of Verdam and Borsch been able to shake hands in peace and harmony." He demonstrates this by actually putting his hand out to the Elven ambassador, and they both do actually shake hands in that moment. "Never before have we been able to trade our fare and share our fineries. Never before have we been able to loosen the tension at the border and experience prosperity that comes with peace. But no more. Now we will learn what it is like to live in plenty and to have a stronger, better country." He takes his the cupbearer, the official cupbearer, approaches and hands notably a single goblet over to the two at the dais. Very fancy, of course. And you know that given at usual peace accords, they both share a goblet as a sign of trust. And being the human country, the king drinks first and raises the glass and says, "To peace!" And takes a drink, hands it over to the elven compatriot there, and he also takes a drink. It's a very long drink. The intention is to have not as much left in once both have drunk. The majority of nobles you see also raising their glasses and sipping. Roll for perception. You each can tell me your rolls when you got them.
I'm probably not going to be very good. I got an 11. Which is worse than my passive perception, which is funny. Sorry, I looked at the wrong thing. I got a 14, which is the same as my passive perception.
I got a whopping 12.
Oof.
I got a 17.
All right. Well, the entertainers are a little bit busy enjoying their fineries and maybe the money that was tossed to their stage as they were playing. But Chase, you being a little bit more observant, notice that a couple of people in the crowd seem a bit more tense than usual. There is one. He is wearing the official robes of a doctor. He's looking kind of tense and standing kind of near this, or he's seated near the stage. He's in a position of importance. And you also see one of the noble women. She has also kind of a slight tenseness about her, but to a certain degree, she has a certain amount of tenseness of anticipation. Like kind of maybe even a certain smug look on her face, from what you can tell. So, do you all drink?
Can I make an investigation on the cup before I drink?
Sure.
Well, that was stupid. I got a 1.
Well, it looks delicious.
I'll also investigate.
All right.
28.
All right. How are you investigating?
I sniff it.
All right. With your finely tuned sniffer, you give it a good long whiff, picking up all the different spices and different, what do you call it? Different flavors within the wine. And as far as you can tell, it is not the top quality wine because you're not seated near the front, so you don't get the good stuff. But besides that, it seems to be normal wine.
I look at Gloomgrub and just give like a slight nod.
I got a 1 plus a 4, so I'm like a nat 1. So I'm just downing it. I just look at it, swirl it, and just throw it back all the way.
Take the shot. Chase?
It's against my religion. I can't drink it.
All right. I would assume you would have kind of indicated to the servers and giving you a look of everyone must drink. They kind of hand you a glass of water instead and say, we'll use this.
Hey, so I grab the glass.
Am I close to the druid? Like, do I see the druid?
It's a pretty decent sized room. He's way far in the corner, but he would be noticeable because it sounds like he's not sitting at a table, just kind of standing in a corner, leaning off to the side, observing. Yep. And you'd see other people too, but it sounds like his, well, I don't know. Chase, you said you were blending in. What would they see?
I just look like a typical guy. You know, I blend in with the crowd.
He's a random NPC.
Right.
I think the bigger question is, do we smell the druid?
I mean, it goes without saying that you definitely see me, but that's only because I want to be seen at the moment.
Well, can't be unseen with that big of a figure, eh?
That's why I'm a rogue. I can disappear.
All right, so that's your answer. It doesn't. No one really stands out in particular off to the back, unless he's given himself away with his intense gaze and looking around. So, let's see. As the king and the elven diplomat drink their wine, the king picks up the pen and begins to sign his name. And he suddenly stops and begins coughing.
Uh-oh.
Just a clearing of the throat at first. And but slowly you start noticing his face grow a much brighter red as he's trying to clear his throat. And as this is happening, the elven diplomat begins coughing too. And they both start saying in as loud of a voice as they can croak out, which you can't really hear, but you can maybe see off of their lips, water, something like that. And the another servant has to rush forward and bring out a drink of water very quickly. And you see the doctor start approaching the stage with a look of concern on his face. What do you all do?
Who's close to me?
You would have stood a bit further off because you're not exactly the most anticipated guests. you'd probably be roughly center of the room, off to one of the walls, or right in the middle, just wherever you would normally stand. Just a variety of like nobles and onlookers and wealthy people of the town.
Do I notice any coin purses?
Any coin purses for the snatching?
Yes.
Let's see. Well, give me a perception check.
21.
All right. I'd say that you don't feel any need to really hide your looking around because, hey, everyone's pretty well distracted right now, and you do notice various coin purses dangling off of belts or bulging in pockets.
I go to steal one of them.
All right, roll a sleight of hand with advantage.
$28.
All right. You use one of your nifty little knives, cut the purse like a pro, with your hand already clutching it and gently lifting it up. They are none the wiser, and no one else is either.
Nice. I look at Gloomgrub and wink.
Gloomgrub just kind of lifts up his empty cup and nods, but begins looking around as well to the crowd, seeing what's going on with the king and the dignitary, looking at the crowd to see if there's anyone kind of acting suspicious, like moving towards an exit.
Roll for insight.
How much gold did I steal, by the way, Tim? Or Vader?
You stole, let's say, these are high rollers. Let's say about roughly, it feels like around 30 to 50 gold. You can't be sure without pulling it out and counting.
For insight, that's an 18.
All right. So you see the look of horror on most people's faces, which seems to be normally fitting in. However, there's a certain noblewoman who seems to has gone incredibly pale, just like she seems to be taking this very personally, more so than what you might expect from the nobles and the typical shock. You also noticed that the let's see, that's the main person that stands out to you. Everyone else, you seem to notice normal responses of either shock, nervousness, confusion, that kind of thing. If there's anyone in particular you'd want to get a read on besides, that's you can ask, but otherwise that's what your perception shows, or your insight.
Okay, if I can, I'm going to try to make my way towards this woman that seems to be in deep shock.
All right. Chase, you doing anything?
Yeah, when they ask for water, I get up with my cup of water that I've got, and I bring it over.
Now you were at the back of the room, so
yeah.
You would get maybe about what pace are you setting to get across the room?
I'll be in a hurry, so
fast
it
walk.
wouldn't be fast walk.
All right. So as you quickly begin walking, maybe even holding up your glass to show that you have water, you only get about a third of the way across the room before the server is much closer than you get the water over to the king. The king begins trying to gulp it down. The doctor immediately goes to the king's side as the king collapses to the floor, his face now looking purple and rather concerning. He is spitting and gurgling and not really speaking any coherent words at this point. The doctor quickly tells the servants to stand back, stand back. which they know him. They're familiar with him. He's a well-known doctor in town, and they step back, and he pulls out a vial, pops it open, and gives some to the king. You can see as well the elven tables. Several of them have jumped up and run over to assist their diplomat, and as he has begun to collapse as well, they begin to try to give him some sort of herbs and healing that they can. And as you all approach closer and continue to do whatever you do, you notice that some of the common folk are trying to edge out of the room and walk away. Some of the lesser nobles are, trying to move their distance away. There's chatter amongst most of the nobles as well of, what's happening, and you see the doctor hand the medicine over to one of the elf staff who's trying to heal the diplomat, and they start trying to help him as well with giving him what's remaining of the medicine. After another maybe tense 30 seconds, it's apparent just from looking at the king that he's not surviving this. He's basically gone. And the elf diplomat does not look in very much better shape at all. What would you all like to do?
So the king has already died.
He looks about as close to it right now as he can get. If you were a betting man, you were going to bet on death.
He's about to do the croak.
Yeah. Could I cast Healing Word on the king?
What's the distance on that spell?
Let's see.
60 feet.
Do you need a...
Yep.
What kind
60
of...
feet. That I can see within range.
All right. 60 feet within range. I would say you are in range and you can cast it. So what does the spell do for healing?
It just regains hit points equal to 1d4 plus my spellcasting modifier.
All right. Roll for healing.
While he's doing that, I'm going to steal another coin purse.
All right. Another with advantage roll for sleight of hand.
Actually, are there any pretty necklaces?
Oh yeah, this is a party. Of course, there are plenty.
I'm going to try and steal a pretty necklace.
I would say, yeah, roll with advantage again.
And I rolled the 4, by the way, so it'd be 7.
All right.
I got 28.
All right. Well, Uthal, you got yourself a gold necklace with a couple of emerald gems in it, and he's deftly just kind of undo the clasp, very much at odds with your sausage fingers. You work the delicate clasp almost as if you'd made the jewelry yourself, and sneak it away into a hidden area of yourself. The noblewoman is none the wiser and seems completely taken with what's going on.
I wear it around my neck and put it underneath my clothes.
It feels slightly warm to the touch. All right, and Chase, you cast your healing word. You speak out. Your incantation to bring healing, loud and with authority, and you see a little bit of color regained to the king's face. Gloomgrub, what are you doing?
I am going towards that lady that seemed to be in shock, and I'm going to introduce myself to her with a bit of a flourish of movement using prestidigitation. I'm going to make as I bow before her and say to her, "Excuse me, my dear." I'm going to just kind of let the prestidigitation create a gust that kind of ruffles my cloak a little bit to give my sense of self of importance.
She is so taken up with what's happening right now, she doesn't even notice that you're there on the first attempt.
I will try again.
She glances your way and kind of mumbles a courtesy of pleased to meet you, but very quickly looks back riveted to the events going on the dais. All right, now despite a brief respite, the king seems to recover a very little bit and then has another intense hacking spell, and despite valiant efforts at healing, collapses with some blood running out of various orifices of his body. And the doctor rises up and says, with a look of intense feeling, the king is dead. And there's a certain amount of quiet and shock that fills the hall at first. But you do hear noises off by the entrance. The several guards immediately who are standing there, one steps out into the hall and calls. One goes out into the hallway, calls reinforcements. The other notably draws his sword and is blocking the doorway to stop anyone who is attempting at leaving from exiting the room. And like I said, chaos initially breaks out. Anyone who rushes close to the door, the guard yells is intimidating, and in a few cases viciously beats back several people, saying, "Don't move any further. No one's leaving this room." And the crowd, after several people have gotten some bloody noses and broken, busted lips, backs off, especially as 3 more guards come through immediately and begin to form a line, an intimidating line of armored soldiers. And what do you all do?
Noticing the other soldiers, Uthal scans the room for Gloomgrub and makes his way over to him.
All right. Chase Gloomgrub, other of you.
Gloomgrub, seeing as how the lady does not seem to be responding, is going to try to look and locate where Uthal is, and he's going to try to nod to him to get his attention and start to move off towards him.
All right. Chase.
I'm gonna back off towards the wall, and then I'm gonna change into a rat.
Just the nearest wall that you see?
Mm-hmm.
All right. You are now a squeaky rat. What does your rat look like?
A rat.
Oh, give us a color at least.
Okay, he's brown. He's a brown rat.
And rough idea on size. Are we talking field mouse or like a New York City sewer?
A smaller rat is,
Pet store rat. All right.
Yep.
All right.
Or as Gloomgrub would call it, a light meal.
Uh-oh. So, as you all do this, the one of the guards walks immediately up to the doctor and is escorting the doctor out of the room. You enter, or rather, prior to that, enters a much larger, towering at least a head taller than the average guard into the room. Someone who clearly has a position of authority. He's got very ornate armor. He's got a couple of medals and insignias on his outfit, clearly setting him apart from the rest. His scar-covered face looks over to one of the guards and says, "Go get the doctor. We're going to question him first." And then looking around to the room, raising his arms, and hollering at everyone, "Quiet!" Everyone settles down very quickly. Again, his authority and his booming voice, everyone settles very quickly. As he says, "We are going to investigate this matter. You are all to remain here. We will question you one by one and get to the bottom of this. And no one is to enter or leave this premises until they have been thoroughly questioned." Having given the order, a guard returns with the doctor in tow, and they step out of the room with the lieutenant guard, or the captain. You don't know his rank precisely.
I follow them.
All right, you're on the.
Do I see that too?
Sorry, what was that, Uthal?
I see it too. Like, I see them go into this other room.
You see them start dragging them away. So let's see. Chase, first of all, I want you to roll a stealth check with advantage.
I will also follow stealthily.
All right. Stealth check with advantage.
A 9.
All right. And Uthal, yours?
23.
All right. So you all get through the crowd, Uthal, you get through the crowd, no problem. And how are you trying to actually get past the guards at the door?
Just a second. I think I'm going to use one of my wondrous items.
All right.
Or wait, like, does this doorway, is it just like that's the only way to that next room is through that door?
It's the door that you entered into. It leads back into the main hallway of the palace.
All right.
It is the only entrance and exit as far as doors go, though.
I am going to use my Dust of Disappearance. This powder resembles very fine sand, and there's enough of it for one use. Are there people around me? Like, how close are people to me?
There's a lot of people in this area, so it's, you've been around kind of picking pockets. You've got people, and some people kind of came up to the door. People are out of their seats. This is a big event, so there's a lot of people around pretty clearly. So I'd say within any given 5-foot distance, you'd be able to reach somebody.
Is there somewhere that I could be 10 feet away from people? Or is it too crowded?
You can take the time to go to one of the farther corners. However, if you want to be able to use this powder and sneak out, I don't think you'd have the time to rush over to a corner and get to the door while it's open. You'd have to try to sneak out after they've already left. And you would know this from looking at the distance of, they're walking to the door. You see you want to follow, but you see you're surrounded. So
All right, it's gonna cause a lot more chaos, and this is gonna be fun. I throw the dust up in the air, and me and each creature within 10 feet of me become invisible for 2d4 minutes.
well, roll 2d4.
8.
8 minutes it is. And this comes to people's attention as there's suddenly an open space. And there's some confusion of people around. Does this only turn creatures or objects as well?
It just says creatures. Oh, no,
Okay.
in objects.
Oh, so the chair and table on occasion also kind of disappear, leaving people extra, just wait, what? Which actually is bringing a few guards from the entrance over, and you use that opening to sneak past the guards and follow behind through the doorway. Roll for dexterity as you're trying to get through the door without being noticed. With advantage, because you are, what do you call it, invisible.
$26.
All right. Despite your size, you very nimbly go through. Just sneak in.
Yeah.
No one's the wiser as the guard and the doctor and the leader guard start walking down the hallway. And as for you, Chase, and your rat self, you try to. What sort of speed does your rat have?
Oh, I gotta look that up.
While he's doing that, how close am I to where Uthal disappeared?
You wouldn't have been quite close enough yet to be covered in the invisibility, but you did see him disappear, and presumably you know what's going on there.
But would I be 10 feet away from where the disappearance was? I'm not looking to disappear. I'm just trying to figure something out.
I would say you were probably closer to about 25-ish feet away.
Yeah, so I go 20 feet.
All right, you go 20 feet. All right, so you try to make your way across the room, and someone actually notices you skittering along, kind of shrieks a little bit, and kind of just shoos you with her foot, trying to kick away. Roll for dexterity.
Excuse me.
15.
All right, you dodge that foot, no problem. But you can tell just from the speed you're going and the fact that you've been spotted. In fact, a guard is looking over at the shriek, kind of wondering what's going on. That there's no way you're going to be able to sneak out of the door as you are right now. And Gloomgrub, what are you doing in the moment?
I'm just going to be looking around and use my prestidigitation again to just kind of make within 10 feet of me a soft music start playing, just to waft through the area, something to make people a little, given the way that people just disappeared, almost like some sort of an eerie tone.
An eerie tone. All right. Trying to play up your act. So as you do that, you actually feel a tap on your shoulder. And as you look back, you see the noblewoman, and she seems like she wants to talk.
I'll turn and I'll bow and look at her. My dear, how may I be of service?
And she says, can we go to the corner and speak a moment in private? Kind of giving a little shrewd glance around the room. Her face is still very, very much pale from the events witnessed.
Gloomgrub will just nod. My dear, it would be my great pleasure.
All right. As you all walk off to a corner, and then Chase, if you, what's your passive perception?
16.
Okay. You would probably recognize that this is one of the women that stood out to you as well as just being kind of a little bit off during the toasting ceremony. Like you said, a little bit of kind of anticipation, maybe a bit of mischief in the eyes as the toast was being spoken and drank. All right, cut to the hallway. The guards and the doctor set a brisk pace down the hall, and they are headed towards a few rooms down to where they don't go to the first door they see. They go, like I said, maybe several doors down the hallway, and they enter into a room. What are you doing during this moment, Uthal?
I'm following them.
Just sneaky following.
Mm-hmm.
So the hallway also, you'll notice, has a different kind of bustle to it than it did before. It's not the bustle of getting ready for a party. It's the bustle of tension, of ready for action, as there are several more guards that are walking through the hall and getting into position. Yeah. You follow, being invisible without too much trouble, but you do have to scoot against the side of the scoot against the side of the wall several times, and your pace can't be quite as quick as the captain of the guard, because all the other soldiers just part for him. They know his rank. They're not getting in his way. They know better. But for you, you're invisible. They don't get out of your way, so you've got to get out of theirs. So you see them enter in the door and close it. You don't quite get there in time to sneak in behind them, but you're maybe like about 20 feet behind, and you can see which door they entered in, no problem. Especially with your height. What do you do?
I lean up against the door, and I very slowly... Is it like a handle or like a push?
It's got your typical kind of a latch, although there is a lock with it, and you don't know if it's been locked or not. There's too much noise you wouldn't have heard when they entered.
Okay, I unlatch it and I give it a slight push, a gentle push, to see if it's locked.
All right. Go ahead and roll first. I guess that would be sleight of hand. We'll go with that. And while you're doing that, Chase, what are you doing?
I am looking for like a hole in the wall so that I can kind of keep following where they're taking the doctor.
All right. Go ahead and do an investigation or an investigation check.
23.
All right. Well, your keen rat eyes and senses note a couple of different spots that look like they could be promising, though this is a very nice room and doesn't tend to have very many holes in the wall. You do notice by the fireplace where the stones are laid in, you find a couple of promising spots, and you worm your way through and end up in actually in between some of the walls. There's some space in between here for you to crawl through and explore. And with that kind of investigation, after about a couple of minutes, you're able to find your way out into the hallway, where there are many, like I said, many guards just kind of preparing. And at that moment, you can start hearing a bell ringing throughout the city, kind of preparing all of the armies and troops and whatnot to be on alert. And Gloomgrub, as you're led over into the corner by the noblewoman, she begins speaking to you as soon as she seems to feel that there's a safe distance between anyone else, and says to you very quietly, very quickly, "Listen, I need your help. There's been a terrible mistake, and I fear that I'm going to be held responsible and blamed for events."
My dear, why would you assume such a thing? Whatever would you mean?
She looks very chagrined. I almost hate to admit it, but I couldn't stand the thought of these stinking elves and being allowed in our city to ruin my trade and potentially mess up my family's standing in the area. I could not allow that, and so I wanted to ruin the peace. However, so I hired someone to swap out the wine the king was I can hardly say it. It's just so foolish. It was supposed to be a bitter wine, just something to make their tongues curdle and maybe voices croak. I don't know what happened. And she starts to tear up and sob at this point. Very, very distraught, and says, if this is found out, if the truth is not found out of what really happened, I'll be ruined. I'll be maybe killed.
Being a bard and somebody who is of performance, could I do like an insight or investigation to find out just how truthful she's being?
Yeah, roll for insight.
Insight. That is a 20.
All right. So you can definitely tell just from your understanding of people that she would not have admitted in her station. She would not have admitted to even half of that if it wasn't true. Like that in and of itself, if it was found out, would be extremely damaging to her reputation. And so the fact that she's telling you that much kind of tells you, yeah, this is a genuine cry for help here.
Gloomgrub's just gonna think for a moment and ask,
My dear, the man that, or individuals to which you were party to this horrible accident, are they perhaps in this room?
She kind of looks a little surprised, and I hadn't thought to check. He wasn't dressed as the typical servers. He stood out because he was the special one. He had very, very light blonde hair, and his server jacket was a gold instead of the typical green. She glances around the room. Go ahead and roll for perception if you wish to help look. Actually, before you even get a chance, I rolled a 20 for her. Yeah, she's glancing around and says, "No, he's not here. He he's gone. And a look of panic starts to flood her eyes again as she's concerned again.
Calm down, calm down. You don't see him, but is there anybody who could possibly look similar? Say one if their hair was to suddenly match the appearance, or their uniform was to suddenly appear more akin to it.
And since she rolled a 20, we're gonna go with actually, now that I think about it, I did see him exit the room before the king was done drinking. It was just a flash of gold out of the corner of my eye, but I do recall seeing him leave. And again, still kind of a bit of panic in her voice.
Now, my dear, is there anybody who knows that you were involved in this other than this individual?
We're having a little bit of a child meltdown. We might take about a 15-minute break in a moment. So she looks at you very much in confusion and says, I do not, I didn't know him very well. I knew he would be willing to be paid to do such things, but I just don't know. So with that, we're going to take a quick pause. Jamin, I'll text you when we're about ready to hop back on. Hopefully it'll only be about 15 minutes.
Yeah,
So
I'll
sorry
just
for the delay.
set the thing to be right back.
All right. See y'all in a short. All right.
I'm eating pizza, so I'm happy.
We are back, people.
Crisis averted. So, we left off with Gloomgrub speaking to the noblewoman as she pleads for help, and the servant is missing. Chase has just squirmed his way out into the hallway amongst the guards, and Uthal is trying to sneakily pull the latch of the door and crack it open. So, Chase, what are you doing?
I am still trying to make my way over to where the doctor is so I can listen in on that conversation.
Roll
I'm scurrying about.
Roll for perception or investigation, because you've not you weren't present to see which direction down the hallway they went. And Uthal is
20.
trying to be sneaky. He said 20?
Mm-hmm.
Nat 20 or just the total?
Total.
All right. Well, you do kind of see maybe the wave of guards, and overhear one pointing out to the other as they're talking about the doctor having been taken over there for questioning. So you're able to find your way over to that general area, and you don't directly notice Uthal at the door because of the invisibility, but maybe there seems a little bit something off about the area, but you're not sure what. So Uthal, what did you get for sleight of hand on the door?
16.
All right. So you do stealthily crack the door open, and as far as you can tell, without any noise being made that would draw attention, what are you trying to do?
I'm trying to see if it's locked first.
It was unlocked, and it does crack open.
All right, then I slowly push it open.
How far? Well, I guess I should say immediately upon the crack, you do hear some sounds inside, some talking. It seems to be within that very same room. So it's not like an antechamber or anything. It's just directly in that room. You can hear the guards.
Can I hear the voices clearly?
If you listen closely, there's a bustle in the hall. You might be able to hear a decent amount of it if you hone in very carefully. So go ahead and give me a perception roll.
18.
All right. You're able to catch enough of it. So with it cracked and you can hear well enough, are you going to hold that position or do anything else?
How much time has gone in my 8 minutes? Do you know?
We'll say about 2 minutes worth.
All right, I will stay here and listen, but also keep track of time in my mind.
All right, and so Chase, as you approach the doorway, you see that it is cracked conveniently a little bit. What are you doing?
I am going in.
All right, so
Uthal, he has a rumble in his tummy. He looks down and sees a rat.
You did roll an 18 on perception. Chase, in what manner are you trying to go in? Just like slinking in like any old rat would?
Yep.
All right. So if you're not trying to be super discreet or super quick about it, Uthal, what are you doing with the knowledge that a rat's kind of sneaking in under your feet?
I really don't do anything. I just kind of let it happen.
Oh, okay. All right. So
as much as I want to eat him and see where that would go, but like
I mean, it would be interesting. All right.
Suddenly I have a voice, but it's no longer mine.
So, as you squeak your way in, you're just, you notice that the doctor and 2 guards are there, and they're all kind of talking together, not too terribly loud, but not too terribly quiet either. There is a decent amount of noise, and the door, closed door, kept enough noise from the hallway, but so they're all talking amongst themselves, and you hear a certain nervous energy, and the captain of the guard basically saying, just keep your mouth shut and do your part. It'll be okay. The guard, or the other guards, just kind of listening and giving a certain amount of obedience. The doctor, an older man, somewhat graying hair and looking frazzled, says, I can keep my mouth shut. That I can do for sure. Don't need to worry about my part at all. But are you sure that there's going to be follow through on your all's end? And you can kind of tell from his meaning he doesn't just mean the captain of the guard. And the captain says, kind of gives him a look and says, I do what must be done no matter what. And kind of turns and stalks out and directly your way, because he's going to the door. You can hear the thump thump, and as he's walking past. What are you doing as he's walking toward you? That would be both of you, but Chase first.
Make sure I don't get stepped on.
All right, so
Why?
So scooting off to what, the side of the room or what?
Yep.
All right. So we're gonna say you do notice that, or you do notice in time to scurry off to the side, but he also kind of, your movement catches his eye, and he gives a kind of stinking rat kind of look and goes to kind of swipe his foot at you directly. Roll for dexterity.
$19.
All right. Well, you with much rat acrobatics scurry out of his way, no problem. In which direction are you scurrying? Deeper into the room or out of the room?
I want to kind of stay as close to the doctor as I can.
All right. Seeing you scurry deeper into the room, he looks to the other guard who's remaining behind and says, "Kill the rat if you can find it." And goes to push the door open. Uthal, what are you doing?
I just quickly step to the side so that he won't run into me.
All right. Behind the door, so it opens and covering you, or the other side?
The other side.
All right. Well, he steps out into the hallway and walks back toward the entrance of the banquet hall, and back to Gloomgrub. So you've just discovered that the servant for sure is out of the room, and in fact, just to kind of cement that in, the lady flags down a servant and asks, and he looks at the lady and no questions asked, just immediately tells her that he did indeed see the other servant leave earlier.
My good man.
Looking at the servant, is it a guy or a girl?
A guy in this case.
Okay. My good man. You see that we're sort of in need of a bit of assistance. Is there sort of any possible way that you could possibly take of helping us vacate the room unnoticed?
He kind of looks a bit a bit shocked and says, do you want to get me killed on a night like this? Are you... Oh my... And he just kind of walks off immediately, trying to distance himself from you.
I fear that may have gone sour.
And the noble lady says, looking about, maybe we can, she says, I can't do anything of the sort, but looking at the windows, you're small, maybe you can fit out a crack in a window, or maybe I can try to get the guard's attention away from you for a moment from the door. She's clearly wanting you to look into this, and is willing to be of assistance if she can.
My dear, if there's a distraction needing to be done, I might have a way.
All right. What do you do?
Just 1 second. I want to take a look, double check a certain spell here that I have geared up.
Sure. While you're doing that, Chase, you're in the doctor's quarters. You can see there's potions sitting on the wall. There's a variety of things, and the guard, whom was told to kill you if he found you, doesn't really seem too interested in looking for you. He's just, he looked interested when the captain was there, but now that he's gone, he's just kind of like, sits down and just, basically you get the impression just there to keep an eye on things and make sure that the doctor stays put for the moment. What do you do?
So right now it's just, as far as I know, it's just me, or just the doctor and the guard in the room. And door shut, right?
Yes, the captain did shut the door upon exiting.
Right now I'm just kind of watching for the guard to lose focus.
I'd say you could say he's not too terribly focused on anything in particular. He's kind of he's focused on the door and listening to what's going on outside and making some minor chit chat with the doctor, but nothing beyond just, very kind of awkward talk,
How big are...
Sorry, how big what? How big a room?
How big are the containers, the vials?
Let's say about maybe 2 ounces worth. They're glass with a cork stopper in them for the most part, but they're up on a shelf.
Yeah. I'm going to cast Detect Magic.
All right. You cast it, and let me see. Give me a moment to... you notice that the doctor's cloak is exuding a certain aura of magic. Detect Magic just points out the magical objects, right?
You sense the presence of magic within 30 feet of you. You sense magic in this way. You can use your action to see a faint aura around any visible creature or object in the area that bears magic. And you learn at School of Magic, if any. All
right. Well, you do sense as well an invisible someone outside of the door. So you're distinctly aware of a 7-foot tall, gargantuan but invisible creature just outside the door. And if you were paying much attention at all in the room to the entertainment, you would put together very easily, yeah, that might be the Goliath, Not too many other people are quite that tall.
Yeah.
You also notice just a variety of trinkets and potions have a certain magical feel to them or sense to them. A variety of healing potions, but not all the vials by any means, and some of them are very very normal herbs and whatnot. So while you're detecting magic and thinking what you're doing, Uthal, what have you done now that the captain has walked past you back into the hallway?
So the captain's going in the hallway and the doctor's still in the room?
The doctor and one of the guards is still in the room. The captain is headed back towards the banquet hall.
There's only one guard in the room?
Yes.
Is the guard and the doctor close to each other?
Well, the door's closed at this point.
Okay, I open up the door again. Slowly.
All right, so now go ahead and roll for sleight of hand at disadvantage.
12.
All right, so as the door starts cracking open, you hear footsteps towards the door and kind of a firm push as the guard is just like, didn't close the door. Kind of grumbling about having to get up and close it again. And you are stopped from pushing in.
From when I looked in the room earlier, would I have noticed if there were any windows or any other path into the door? Or into the room?
You would have noticed that this is a relatively small seeming room, although there is definitely a window on the far end. You would have seen a little bit of torchlight or moonlight coming through.
How much time do I have left?
We'll say you've got about 5-ish minutes left.
Is there a window close to where I am in the hall?
No, this is for the most part a windowless hall. Much further down, you might be able to find some windows, but you'd have to try another door to get closer to the outer wall to get to a window.
Okay, just a sec.
All right. While you're contemplating, Gloomgrub, what are you doing?
Trying to figure out a way to get out of here. Gloomgrub is gonna ask the lady,
Do you notice an area where the guards are their attention is more directed at the moment? Which one is there a door that looks less guarded?
Well, there's only the one door. It's like a double doorway kind of entrance, and there's 2 guards posted there, and you both can see that they're focused on the crowd, just trying to make sure none of them try anything funny. They've got a special eye on people that look upset, and a couple of ones that were like punched in the nose and stuff.
is there any of them focused on me at the moment?
No one's really seemed to notice you. Beyond, there's a couple nobles that kind of have glanced over and seen that you are talking to the noblewoman, and she's been noticed more than you, I would say. But the fact that you're with her, it kind of looks, like, oh, you're talking to the help or the entertainment,
Gloomgrub is going to look to the noblewoman.
My dear, we may need to cause some sort of a distraction to draw the guards away from the door, or to incite some sort of fear in the people to rush the door. Are you comfortable with that?
Maybe I could tell the guards about the servant who'd gotten away, the one who gave the drinks. That might distract them enough and make it. I don't want to harm my reputation, but I could maybe see that as being a useful thing, especially if I can trust. Can I trust that you will get to the bottom of this?
My dear, you have the word of the Honorable Gloomgrub himself.
Roll for persuasion.
Persuade.
Persuasion.
Uh-oh.
That is a 16 plus 9.
Oh, okay, you're good. She seems reassured and says, "If I talk to the guards, will you be able to move through the door?"
I could. The other option is I can very easily incite some sort of a riot where they may rush the door.
She seems a bit hesitant about that one and says, "If you must do that, I'd rather try to separate myself and find a spot where I'm not a focus."
My dear, if you wish, that is very well. We can try it your way first, and if that fails, we'll take more direct measures.
With resolve, she starts. She takes a moment to compose herself, straighten her hair, and goes over to where the guards are. My wife is going to sleep, so if my voice sounds a little bit quieter, that is the reason why.
That's understandable.
Just tell me if I need to speak up. I'll move my mouth closer to the microphone.
Not a problem. Should I roll for stealth now to see if I can just kind of sneak off into the crowd?
I would say you're fairly small and thoroughly. There's enough thorough distractions that you're not really being too much of a focus at the moment. And so you can just sneak off, and you should be fine. And then let's see. Back to Uthal. Have you figured out what you're doing with?
I'm going to knock loudly on the door.
All right. And while all this is going on, Chase, what are you doing?
He's going to jump because I knocked loudly on the door.
Yeah, I'm just gonna stay hidden until I see what's going on at the door.
All right. Well, the guard kind of does jump a little bit, walks over to it, and just kind of pulls it open with a kind of "what do you want" kind of look about his face, and the door pulls open, draft of wind, all that fun stuff. A couple of guards nearby kind of look over, like, what's going on there, because it was kind of an aggressive open.
So is he just like looking at the emptiness?
He kind of opens it expecting to see someone, and it takes him a pause that no one's there, so he kind of steps a foot out and kind of looks to the left and to the right.
And the other guards are still looking?
They kind of look away at this point. They're not as interested.
Okay. Yeah. As he goes back in, I will just follow quickly behind him and hope not to get crushed by the door.
All right, roll for dexterity. With advantage, you got your invisibility still.
23.
All right. Well, you sneak in no problem behind him, and he's He goes back to his chair and sits in the corner. What are either of you doing? Oh yeah,
I'm
and Chase,
gonna.
you're very aware that this invisible beast just kind of walked in.
So he's sitting by the doctor.
Yeah, there's like a couple of chairs and a desk and a variety of papers and books, some candles, a lantern or two. And the doctor's just kind of rifling through papers and, kind of just nervous, fidgeting.
I walk up behind the guard and I slit his throat.
Whoa. All right, so let's see. I'd say you do still have your dagger on you, and he be a dead man. His blood starts squirting everywhere, and the doctor looks up in horror and starts
And then-
shrieking out.
While he's shrieking out, I grab the doctor because now I'm not invisible, because by attacking I became visible.
His horror is twofold at the blood and at this beastly monster in front of him. What are you doing to...
I just start grunting because I can't talk.
Well, like, what are you... You're just grunting at the doctor?
Well, like, I grab him and I'm like grunting, and then I realize that I don't have Gloomgrub here with me to interpret what I'm trying to say. But I basically I grunt and I like I look, I use my hand as if I'm drinking a glass of poison and pretend like I'm dying, and I point at him and trying to get him to explain to me what's going on.
Can I understand what he's trying to communicate?
Well, if you're looking, I would imagine that you probably can follow his pantomimes fairly well, because the drinking the poison, and he is in the entertainment business. He's got a certain fluency with that kind of pantomime. So you notice pretty well. The doctor is, by the way, kind of just like, as soon as you let go of him, presuming you did to do your pantomime, he kind of first backs into the corner, just as far away from you as possible. He's still kind of shrieking.
Can we just take a moment to recognize honestly how terrifying it would be to not only just see somebody get assassinated, but all of a sudden there's a Goliath in the room with you that's just like grabbing at its throat, making weird gurgling noises and looking at you and pointing?
Oh, absolutely. Which is why the doctor is huddled in the corner and screaming. So Chase, what are you doing?
Well, and I wish I had my staff with me.
Now, just as a note, you do know it is in one of the rooms on the first floor.
Now, are there any in the room we're in? There's windows, right?
There's like, I'd say a window that's, behind the desk.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna come out of my rat form right now.
Now I am shocked.
Speechless, you might say.
That was a terrible dad joke.
And so now,
Are there any non-terrible dad jokes?
Well,
And that's what makes dad jokes so great, is that they're so terrible that they've gone from being terrible to being great.
So the
stretch.
doctor almost hardly doesn't even notice you because he's still fixated on the Goliath in the room. but you kind of see him glance over at you, but he's still more freaked out about the Goliath who just slit somebody's throat and appeared. But you do notice him kind of shy away from you also because, hey, you might be working together.
Yeah. So I look at the doctor and just go, what'd you do? Oh,
And
why'd
hearing
you
him
poison
say
people?
that, I pointed him and like nod my head.
Well, Chase, are you trying to persuade or intimidate? Roll for the appropriate piece.
I'm trying to persuade.
Let's be honest, he's already intimidated.
Yeah.
He's very intimidated, but Chase's tone is setting, with words. You've got the tone set there, so you're trying to persuade him to speak.
Yeah. I got a 12.
All right. He kind of tries to not very well because he's kind of scared out of his mind. He tries very well to just basically say, "Oh, what are you talking about?" You could tell he kind of knows what you're talking about, but trying to play dumb. But he's not really great at it when he's terrified.
I tried to sign, and then I realized that none of them know sign language. So again, I pantomime with my hands the drinking and the choking and the dying.
He says, you mean with the king? He clearly had some kind of poison, and I couldn't save him. I'm so ashamed. But what are you doing? Why did you kill that guard? Oh, why are you in my room? What is this? He starts looking a bit affronted by the situation and a little bit less intimidated. He's still scared, but
I pull out my rapier.
yeah, he kind of backs up against the wall and kind of shuts his mouth.
I point to the dead body, and then I point back to him. If he gets the message.
Yeah, he got the message.
Clearly, you want him to fix him.
Clearly. Heal him now.
Sorry about that. Victoria was saying something to me. What'd you say?
Oh, Brad said clearly I want the doctor to fix the dead guy.
Oh.
I grab some of the flasks and go, what are in these things?
The one you picked up was a just kind of a standard healing potion, and the doctor tells you as much. And then, the doctor kind of took your sword pointing, not so much as a fix him kind of way, but more so as a threatening kind of way. So he's still kind of huddled up against the corner.
Yeah. Hey, look, I'm not playing games. I heard what you said to the guard. You either tell me what's going on now, or maybe I'll turn you into a rat.
Roll for intimidation with advantage.
Well, I'm glad I had an advantage. I rolled a 1, then I rolled a 19.
Yeah.
19.
All right. Well, let's see. He's starting to get his wits about him, but that kind of pushes him back into his his state of scare, and he says, kind of starting to weep now. It wasn't my fault. I had to, and he kind of pauses at that moment. And you see him reach into his pocket and pull out grab off of his desk a little piece of copper wiring. He's kind of looks like he's fidgeting with it nervously, and all of a sudden he kind of points his finger at a certain direction and says, "Help," very quietly under his breath. And pausing there, Gloomgrub, what are you doing?
I am actively trying to, if I'm out in the hallway, look.
Oh yeah, roll for stealth as you're trying to get out in the hallway.
Okay, stealth.
Yes, because the noblewoman is attempting to distract the guards. She is pleading with them, and she's got one of their attention, the other one half attention.
That would be a net 20 plus 6.
Dang.
All right. So 20 does get you behind the guards and out the door. There's enough bustle and distraction that they don't notice that you're there. And out on the door, you kind of run face to face with the captain of the guard, who's kind of walking. He's maybe like about 5 feet away, approaching you. What do you do?
Can he see me?
What did you do for stealth, I should say?
I tried to hug the wall as close as I could to kind of squeak by and get out.
All right, so just using your small frame and the fact that they were looking the other way.
Yes.
So he was headed towards that way. You got out of their attention. What are you seeing that he's approaching? What are you doing in that moment? Because if you don't do something, he's going to see you.
Quickly looking around, is there anything like tables or anything in the hallway that would be big enough for me to hide under, like just lining the wall?
You do see some nooks carved into the wall with decorations or suits of armor. You see some tapestries. Any number of things would do.
I am going to try to hide in one of those nooks and just cast something or cast minor illusion on myself to make the object appear as if I am not there, like I'm hiding under the object.
All right. So, I rolled a perception for the captain, by the way, and he got an 18, but you got a 20 stealth, so you get away with it. He goes and enters into the room, and you don't notice any more beyond there what he's up to. What are you doing in the hall?
I am going to stealthily move away and try to find my large companion.
All right. Go ahead and let's see. You wouldn't really have any idea which way he went. Are you just kind of going off of random luck? How are you trying to find him?
I am going to take out a coin, and I'm going to silently as I can, flip the coin to decide heads I go this way, tails I go that way.
Okay. Go ahead and roll a d20 then. Tell me what number it is.
That is a 19.
All right. Well, lucky you. You chose the right way. You start heading off in the direction of the hall that they went down. You still don't know exactly where you're going, but you're going the right direction. You don't know it.
I'm just going to go down the hall, trying to take in as much of the information around of where I am as I can while I'm looking for my friend.
So back into the room. What are Chase, Uthal? What are you doing?
Well, he just said, "Help me," didn't he?
Yes, he he whispered and pointed and was fidgeting with some copper wire and whispered, "Help me."
Do I know where he whispered it to?
The direction he was pointing looked like it was the direction. Actually, it's not on the same level. He's actually pointing up a level. You can tell from the direction, but you wouldn't know what he's referring to by any means.
What do you mean, help me?
Are you asking him that?
Yes.
He kind of, scoots back a little bit, but he says, "You all have no right. I'm a loyal servant of the realm, and you have no right to be in here and treat me the way you do. I've served the realm loyally for all of my years of service. Brutes will not get away with this." What are y'all doing?
I'm wandering the hallway.
Oh, sorry, I meant Uthal and Chase. What are you doing in response to the doctor?
Um, hmm. What can I do?
Can I see what the wire thing that he was holding? Can I see what that is?
Um, Looking at it, you would probably recognize it as something that's, used in various spells for various reasons. But it's just a thin, short piece of copper wire. He had it kind of wrapped around his finger when he pointed. You do notice that.
And you said our gaze didn't really show anything.
That your gaze didn't show anything?
Like if we looked to where he was pointing, we don't see anything.
No, like imagine he was pointed roughly at like a 45-ish degree angle upward towards kind of this the ceiling, the middle of the castle kind of thing. But you can tell he looks a little bit calmer after doing so.
Is he still pointing?
No, he's in a semi-defensive posture, but he seems to be he seems to be kind of focused back on you all again.
I'm gonna go over to the door and just make sure that there really isn't any activity going on behind the door. So maybe just kind of open it up a crack and look outside, see what's going on.
The hallway seems to have actually quieted down a little bit from what it was, although looking carefully, you can see a couple of other guests being escorted from the main, what do you call it, banquet room, being taken down the other direction down the hallway to presumably be questioned. But besides that, the guards seem to have found their places and what they're doing. So things have kind of settled down a little bit. All right, and then Gloomgrub, you're wandering the hallway. You might notice the door crack open and a little certain someone peek through. a ragged man who probably looks for the most part kind of normal, blends in, but you might connect him from having been in the banquet hall and not being let out like anyone else yet.
I am going to sneak up to the door and just kind of. Is it still open like a crack?
Chase, did you
I
speak out
just
and close
opened
it
it
right
up,
back?
cracked, looked, and then closed it.
Then no.
Okay, I'm going to sneak up to the door, and if able, I am going to slam open the door. And as I enter, I am going to immediately just spray a shower of bright sparks into the room with prestidigitation.
All right. There are guards probably about 30 feet from the door. Are you? You would have been aware that they're there with whatever calculations you're making of, your entrance. Are you doing this like I don't care if they notice kind of a vibe?
The sparks would be, I can only cast it within 10 feet, so I'd be casting it into the room if I'm reading this correctly. So it would be more affecting the people in the room than people outside of the room.
All right. Well, you kick it down, you cast it. Does it have any effect besides being pretty and distracting?
No, that all it is I create an instantaneous harmless sensory effect such as a shower of sparks.
All right. Um, so the doctor, seeing this, takes the moment to try to rush past Uthal and Chase and try to make a break for the door.
With
You
Gloomgrub
both.
standing there.
He's trying to. Well, he sees a shower of sparks. He's noticing that it's a distraction. He, being a little fellow that Gloomgrub is, he doesn't see him right off the bat. He just sees an opening.
Can I
I would like to try to grapple his legs.
would it be possible for me to also make a running jump to stand in front of him?
You may both attempt that. Let's see, for the grapple, that would be, let's see. I guess go ahead and roll a dexterity check for that. And Uthal, go ahead and roll, I guess that would be acrobatics trying to get in his way.
For Dex, that is a 15 plus 7. So 15 plus 7 is 22.
I got a 15 for acrobatics.
All right. So, Uthal, you get in his way. He's trying to dodge around you, but kind of trips over your leg and falls right into the grapple and is trapped and pinned. Chase, what are you doing as sparks fly in your face and there's a little bit of a hubbub commotion?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was looking at. Looking at my spells, see what I can do here. Man, I wish I had my staff with me.
Yeah. As you're considering what you're doing, the doctor kind of struggles a little bit more. What are the other two of you doing?
Well, Gloomgrub has him tackled, right?
Oh, yeah. But Gloomgrub is small, and now the doctor's an older man, too, so who knows who could who would win a brute strength.
Gloomgrub is just simply going to whisper to the individual that he has now grappled around the legs.
Sir, it is in your best interest and greatest of health to stop the struggling and to remain silent, as the large friend over there you may have noticed.
He does kind of stop squirming, and he's still, but you can tell he's not kind of happy with where he is, and he's maybe maybe thinking about still how to get away. He does not look satisfied.
Now, we may have gotten off onto a less than bright start, so let us go about this in this manner. We're all going to be very calm, very collected, and you're going to talk to us like we're old friends. Does that sound good?
How are you pinning him?
I'm just doing the standard, grapple the leg as tight as you can, like you would do in football, the spear tackle to the legs.
Gotcha. So his legs are caught up, and he's on the ground.
Yes.
All right. He kind of sighs and says, "You won't get away with it. I've got friends who will be here any minute to deal with you."
Well,
And again, he looks a little satisfied.
well then, since we're such good friends, you're going to help my friend and whoever that is find a way to depart from here. I think that would be the more noble option, don't you? Because it would be awfully a shame if you were to find out, or if your friends were to find you in the same degree of health as the man on the floor.
Roll for intimidation with advantage.
So first I got a 1. So I'm very glad for the advantage. And the second time I got a 17 plus a whopping 2. So 19.
You're not an intimidating little goblin, but you pulled it off this time.
He's grappled by a very tiny pirate, okay?
There's a certain amount of fear again increases as he sees the corpse in the corner bleeding out on his carpet still. And let's see, looking at Uthal, looking at Chase, seeing that he's essentially surrounded, he says,
Well, while I see them all, just to kind of throw this in there, while I see them kind of grappling with him and having the doctor restrain, I'm looking over the flask and seeing if I can't figure out looking over all that stuff, seeing what's going on there.
all right, go ahead and roll an investigation check. While you do that, the doctor says, the window can be opened if you must, and you can lower yourself out of here and out of my office and out of my life. What'd you get, Chase?
You couldn't tell from my yeah?
I figured a natural
That's
20.
That's 20, yeah. So I got 26.
All right, nice. So you can, you're familiar with all of these potions here. You're a druid. You work with nature and can figure out a lot of what's going on. And so you sort through. There's a variety of healing potions, a variety of anti-poison potions, and while you're investigating, though, you do notice that, actually not amongst the potions, but on the desk, there's a bit of a piece of paper that catches your eye, and you look closer at it and see a recent couple of notes taken on the subject of poisoning with a choking potion, and like just looking at it, you're kind of like reading a medical description almost of what happened to the king and the ambassador. And you see that it talks about antidotes and what works, what doesn't. You know, just a couple of jotted down notes like that.
Yeah. So, doctor guy, whoever you are, holding up a piece of paper. What's this?
I am Todoi, not just Dr. Guy.
Todor on the floor door.
So
you're gonna be
you show him the paper.
speaking here. What is it?
Sees the paper, and you can see immediate recognition in his face, and again a certain paleness coming in. But he says, I don't know what you're talking about. I use these. I deal with potions and healing all the time. That's just one of my notes. I don't know when the last time I even touched that paper was.
Well, remember, your memory better be coming quick.
Can I make an investigation on if he's telling the truth?
Roll for insight, and Chase, go ahead and roll for intimidation with advantage.
For insight, I have a 14.
All right. He definitely isn't coming across as the most authentic. He is coming across as saying anything to get you all to leave him alone and keep him out of trouble.
While Chase is getting ready to do his thing, I'm just going to say,
Now, Doctor. That's not being very friendly. Uthal, would you mind taking a step towards our floor-bound friend?
Uthal takes a step towards the friend.
Chase, what was your intimidation roll?
Got a 16.
Well, with that and the big step towards him, he, you can see he kind of starts to crack and says, okay, so I might have not really been helpful with the king, but he was trying to make us align with the elves, and those stinking good for nothing elves, they don't deserve to be a part of our great empire. They don't deserve it.
Great empire. The empire of men has ever been great.
So as you kind of have him trapped there, you do start hearing a little bit of a commotion outside in the hallway. Just something that you weren't hearing before, where it had settled down.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back over and just take a peek, see what's going on. Do like I did before, just kind of open up the door, crack, take a peek, and close the door again.
You see a guard looking at and headed right for the door. You can tell he sees it crack open, but he doesn't really. It's too quick of a glance for him to really recognize you or anything. But you can tell he does. He almost made eye contact, like he's headed right for the door. Maybe and he was kind of just walking at a straightforward pace, kind of vaguely readying a weapon, but now you can see him kind of like starting to sprint towards the door.
I think it's about time for us to leave.
What makes you say that?
Well, we're gonna have some company here pretty quick. I'm gonna cast. I'm gonna cast Spike Growth. Can I do Spike Growth like out? I wonder. Let me see something. I have to be able to see it.
That's the question. I can look it up. Spike growth.
Yep, I'm looking at it now. I want to do it like outside of the room. What I want to do.
It says you do need visual and sound, and yeah, so you would need to be able to see where it's going. So you could do it inside the room or try to open the door and put it outside the room.
Okay. Yes. So there's a window. We're on the first floor, and there's a window right there, right?
Yeah, there's windows in most of the actual rooms and in some parts of the hallways, but yeah.
Yeah. So, oh, I'm gonna look at him and go, okay, let's grab the doctor, and I'm gonna take the sheets of paper and make sure I have them. I go. I'm gonna say, I think it's time for us to go now, or we're gonna have some company.
Very well. Uthal, would you mind grabbing our doctor friend here, who's going to remain as silent as the grave, or potentially join it? And we are going to follow our new. I'm sorry, what is your name?
Chase.
Chase. Very good to
Go,
meet you.
Chase. Chase.
Chase. So you're saying your name is Chase, and you're on the case. Very good. I'm Gloomgrub, and this large individual is Uthal.
You start hearing some, a pound against the door, and the handle start to click.
I grab the doctor, or Uthal grabs the doctor.
What are the other two of you doing?
I am going to use prestidigitation to try to make a faint odor, an odd odor, appear kind of behind where the guy is trying to open the door, just to try to buy us time.
All right. Gloomgrub?
That was Gloomgrub.
Oh, sorry, Chase.
Yeah. I'm gonna attempt to go out the window.
All right. So it does open easily enough. And did you lock the door upon closing it, or did you just close it?
I locked it when I closed it.
Okay. So he's starting to bang on the door, and you can hear him, and you can hear a couple of other footsteps kind of approaching. He kind of calls, "Hey, can I get a hand with this?" And so, but like I said, the window opens with relative ease. Looking out, you can see, there's the courtyard area. There's windows on the first floor, of course, and above you there's a third level. What would you all like to do?
I would like to go out the window, and if we have any rope to tie the doctor so we can get him out the window as well.
I think someone had rope on them.
I have rope. I have 50 feet of rope.
Yes, lots of rope. Are you going to try to use some of the rope to climb down? Are you trying to get purchases in the stone edifice? What are you trying to do?
I was going to use my acrobatics, being the small, nimble goblin I am, to try to shimmy down the side of the building.
All right. Roll for an acrobatics check.
That is a 14 plus 6.
All right. So your tiny fingers are easily able to find crevices as you climb down and get to. Are you trying to climb down? Was it?
Yes, I'm trying to climb down and away from the situation while we try to bring our doctor friend along. He's valuable.
All right. Well, you get to any point, either the window directly below or the ones to the left or the right easily enough, or you could get to the ground. So your choice.
I will head towards the ground.
All right. What are the other two of you doing as Gloomgrub deftly makes his way down?
I am turning into a spider.
All right. That's
I am following down the rope.
so you've tied up the doctor and are working on going down with the rope.
Yep.
All right.
Well, before I turn into a spider, yeah, I'm gonna turn to Gloom. Is it Gloom?
Gloomgrub.
Gloomgrub. Yep. Where do you want? I'm just gonna ask him. Where do you want to meet?
I would say somewhere far away from this current location. Probably discreetly upon the ground.
All right. You hear a couple more smashes against the door as you can hear there was help that showed up. Uthal, roll a strength check as you're trying to climb down with a wriggling doctor.
That's a 6.
Oof, no additions.
That was with additions.
Ouch. So
And gravity wins the day.
as you're trying to climb down with the doctor, he accidentally wriggles out from your grasp and falls part of the way and kind of lets out a yelp as he smacks against the ground. And again, he's an old man. He's not happy about it at all.
Well, at least he's still alive.
That would have been maybe more like a 1. You didn't roll a 1, right?
No. I know that.
All right. Well, so you all are on the ground now, presumably, if Chase went down there as well.
Gloomgrub's just gonna watch
Well,
the doctor comes crashing down.
Another fine
I'm
day
gonna do
with
something a little
Uthal.
I'm gonna do something. So nobody actually saw me. Like the guard in the hallway didn't actually see me, did he?
Not a good enough glance to recognize you. Just saw that the door opened. There was a pair of eyes and shut close real quick.
Right, because I'm gonna be. Are they still bringing people out from inside to question them?
On your glance over there, you could see that some people were being questioned, but you're on the ground floor now. You're in the courtyard. You really don't know what's going on the second floor at this point.
Well,
they're not being questioned out in the courtyard. You can see that. You do see a certain amount of guard presence at the gates and whatnot.
Yeah, I'm gonna crawl back into that main room that we were in, and seeing if there's still a lot of commotions in there.
So not out the window. You're crawling into the hallway.
Right. I'm going back to the main room.
Oh, like back to the banquet hall.
Yeah, because I gotta get my staff back.
Well, it's not in the banquet hall. It's downstairs on the first floor by the entrance of the palace.
Okay. Then, yeah. Well, Yeah, I'm trying to think of a way to get my staff back, and the only way I'm going to get it back is if I go back out the way I came in. So I'm kind of wanting to go back to the banquet hall.
You did walk up the way, so you'd more likely want to go to like one of the staircases because the banquet hall is just kind of a dead end room. So if your goal is to get to where your stuff is, you'd be headed towards a staircase to the first floor from the hallway.
Yep.
So if you're essentially
that's
retracing your steps, yeah.
Yeah. I'm going back to where my stuff is.
All right. Well, no one pays attention to a spider, but you know, as you're crawling along the wall, the guards burst through and kind of run to the window, and you're able to sneak out the door in that moment. But Gloomgrub, Uthal, you have a few moments to before that happens. What are you all doing?
Grabbing the doctor and hurrying to the nearest bushes to hide.
All right, Uthal.
I follow.
All right. So go ahead and make a stealth check as you are trying to hide yourselves.
I got a nat 20.
Ooh.
Oh man!
As did I.
So you all are like, you know, full on ghillie suit, like hidden.
What would make it even funnier is if my feet are sticking out, but because I'm so well hidden, they can't see me.
Yeah, the guards poke their heads
I
out.
stand really still. No one can see me.
The T-Rex can only see you when you move. All right, so you all know that your hiding spot was on point. You're not even questioning if you got away with it. You know you did. So, all right, as you're hidden behind the bushes, out of sight of everyone, what are you all doing there?
I'm going to remind the doctor that,
Doctor, again, your best interest and your very life hangs in our ability to get away.
He's kind of got some tears going down his face now and says, I'll do whatever you want. Just, are you just trying to leave?
Oh, no, good sir. You see, I've not begun to sow enough chaos.
I sign language to Gloomgrub that he knows what happens to the king and to the elf.
Oh, so you are involved in the murder of a king. I think this is going to be a very profitable engagement. You see, I have somebody else who has asked me very kindly and out of the goodness of my heart for the young pretty lady that I'm going to investigate what's going on, and you're going to help me, or you're going to go to the king and tell him how badly you screwed this up.
I tap Gloomgrub on the shoulder and I sign to him that the king is dead.
I'm well aware, my good friend, that he is of the deceased. But you see, we can send our friend as an envoy to the deceased to tell him that he has screwed up and mistakes were made.
I nod knowingly.
Roll for insight, both of you.
I got an 18 plus 0, so 18.
13.
All right, so Gloomgrub, you would have noticed an odd kind of expression pass over the doctor's face. As you said, you know, him going to the king to talk about it, he seemed at first to kind of calm down and relax. But then as he realized you were talking about sending him to the great beyond, to the king's current shade, aka kill him. He went back to being worried again.
Hold it. Doctor, what was that face?
He again puts on a look of confusion. What face? Leave me out of this. Like I'll talk to the guards. I'll vouch for you. You can leave. I'll give you money.
No. Well, I'll take all your money. Obviously, that's very apparent. You're going to give me every cent you have. After this is all done, for our services do not come cheaply.
Can I reach over and steal his money while the talking?
You may, although he doesn't have much but a modest coin purse on him.
It doesn't matter to me. It's all the perception of what we can do.
And
I
secondly,
say that I'm gonna roll nat 1 probably.
Secondly, you
Very
and I
clumsy
both
doing it.
You and I both know you made a face. Your expression changed, your demeanor changed. You're not an actor, you're not like me. So you're going to explain to me right now what it is you know. And it may get you a discount on our services.
I rolled a 1. Yeah, you very clumsily take his money pouch from him. Like were you trying to be subtle about it?
I was trying.
I honestly picture with the 1, as soon as he said that, like he's trying to take it, the doctor just sees what's going on, just takes it back, and is like very confused.
So you grab it, and as you're tugging on it, it's just caught on his belt, and you're like pulling on it, and like it's not coming undone. It's just this really awkward, like you're grabbing at his belt, and just
Gloomgrub just snaps my hand.
Calm down. There'll be enough time to rob him later.
As you all are questioning the doctor, Chase, you are scampering down the hallway back the way you came. You do notice several other party guests are being brought out and again to another area to be questioned. And you even see some beginning to, it seems, exit, very ruffled, but clearly relieved that they aren't of a concern of anything to do with it. You, as you sneak your way towards the hallway, you find the room you were looking for. Are you just using your spider form to try to crawl through a crack, essentially?
Well, when the people who are leaving, because they've already been questioned, are they stopping in to just pick up their stuff?
Yes, actually, they would be. And you see a guard, once he sees what's going on, he'll occasionally go to the room, open it, retrieve someone's stuff. But people are not coming down in a very steady pace by any means. It's taking a minute to question people.
I'm just wondering if are they coming like by as individuals, or is it like a group, or?
Mostly like the parties as they came in. So like you might see a couple together or, but anyone who got to the party by themselves was also being escorted out by themselves.
So there's a guard that's escorting them out, or is it they just?
Yeah, one takes them down the front entrance, and another one is getting their stuff, bringing it back out, and they're handed their stuff and they're walking out the door with one guard escorting them. The guard is essentially giving them the go-ahead. Like you can see, he's saying, "Yeah, they're free to go. They have nothing to do with this," and just making sure they're not stopped on their way out.
Okay. Then I'll make my way into the room.
Just like crawling through, basically under a crack of the door on the bottom. Yeah. So you're in there, no problem.
All right. Is there any other ways in or out of the room besides that one?
No, just that one entrance. There's not even a window in this room, but there is a small lantern in the hanging from the center of the ceiling, and it's a decent-sized room, and you can see kind of there's some organization to it of like nicer people's coats who want to leave their coat in there, a variety of weapons, but they're all kind of organized, and with some of them you see like scrawled on some parchment, like indicating whose it is for some of the maybe more plain stuff that blends together.
I'm gonna have to ponder how I'm gonna do this.
Are you mostly just looking for your stuff?
Yeah.
Just roll for perception with advantage because you know what you're looking for.
17.
All right. Yeah, you spot your quarterstaff, no problem. And once, because it's large enough to be seen, and once you spot it, you find that what was it? You had a dagger as well.
Yep.
Yeah, you find the dagger right by it, no problem. They're kind of almost like grouped together. A little note on the is on the staff, like just a little piece of paper kind of coiled around it that says a rough but not polite description of you. All right, so you gathered your stuff back, and we're probably got about 10 minutes left till I've got to wrap up for the night. Is that okay with you all?
Yep.
Yeah, that's fine.
And we'll have to do a follow-up for sure. First time, no idea how long these things are going to take. So you all back in the bush. You're grilling the doctor Todoi about his look, and he. So again, he tries to pass off like you don't know what you're talking about, and doesn't seem to be wanting to talk anymore.
Doctor, we can do this the polite way, or we can do this the Uthal way.
Given the intimidation you've already incurred upon this poor old man, he again, realizes his situation. Not very bright. So he says, I thought maybe if I had a chance to explain this situation to the heir, the heir to be, that maybe it could be cleared up, and I was not so frightened at that.
Heir to be.
Yes, there's always an heir to the kingdom, yes.
Well, I'm well aware of that. I know how reproduction works. But the heir to be, meaning an individual who is yet to be king or queen.
Yes, the Prince Mottle.
Where might we find said prince?
He lives in the palace with the royalty up on the top floor.
Oh,
He
doctor.
kind of says it like it's kind of very common knowledge.
Oh, doctor. You see, you're going to help us. And if you're a good boy, we won't harm you. See, so long as we're polite and have this respectable friendship, there won't be any need for violence. Besides that, no, you're not going to help. And, well, my rather large friend, what he lacks in voice, he excels at in bloodshed.
The doctor is appropriately cowed and shivering.
How would we find our way to said prince?
Well, you'd have to get back in the palace. Like I said, they're on the third floor.
Isn't it just so wonderful that we have a doctor that can allow us entry without question?
All right. Chase, now that you have your things back, what are you doing?
I am making my way over to where the other two are.
Did you all talk about arranging a meeting space already?
The floor or the ground.
The ground outside, out of sight.
All right. So Chase, did you how do you plan to get by the guards at the front of the palace?
Well, to get my stuff, I have to come out of being a spider, don't I?
To get your stuff, you have to come out of being a spider.
I have yet to see a spider carry a staff, and if I did, then I'd be a little scared.
Well,
I would not be scared at all if I saw a spider carrying a staff. I would just set the thing on fire.
okay. Well, after I get my stuff, I'm going to use the staff to use pass without a trace.
All right. Mark off the appropriate things, and does that give you advantage or just lets you do it?
Be prepared.
It says a veil of shadows and silence radiates from you, masking you and your companions from detection for the duration. Each creature you choose within 30 feet of you, including you, has a +10 bonus to dexterity stealth checks.
All right.
Can't be.
Roll for stealth as you try to sneak
You need to
past the
use that
guards.
on me, dude. I couldn't fail.
Well, ones are still fails, but it'd be very hard
Yes.
to fail.
Yeah. So with the +12, I got a 26.
All right. Well, feeling back in your element and comfortable with your staff, you easily kind of take just a little trinket from the room, toss it, and the noise distracts the guards, and you're right through the door, no problem. And just having a general good sense of direction, you can find your way over to where they are. And Gloomgrub and Uthal will probably see you kind of like, well, actually, no, you're being very sneaky right now. They might not see you. So, and you might not see them, but you know roughly where you're going. So ending up in that area by the window, what do you do from there?
Wouldn't we see him outside the bush? I guess he's passing.
If he didn't
outside.
roll a 26 on stealth and you all didn't roll natural 20s on stealth, you might have seen each other.
We stealthed by our own parties.
Unless you're good at one of y'all's gonna.
We have effectively split the party by successfully doing stealth. None of us know where the other is.
Basically. You all
I make a couple subtle grunt noises.
And with him trying to get your attention, you'll notice.
Gloomgrub just responds on hearing grunts.
Kaka, kaka, toki toki.
All right, so you all are able to meet back up, and what would you like to say to each other before we wrap up?
Well, Chase, good to see you again, my druidic compadre.
I grunt.
We apparently have a and Uthal is very glad to see you as well. Have a means to an end of sorts. It appears there's an heir apparent.
Do we lose him?
What's that? No, I'm still here.
I'm
no just longer... thinking.
Oh, I didn't realize he was done with his sentence.
So there's an heir apparent.
Where'd you find out?
Apparently, there's an heir to the throne, and he's on the 3rd floor.
Really?
And the doctor has been oh so kind as to volunteer his services so that we all get there safely and unmentioned.
The doctor looks neither oh so kindly nor oh so volunteering, but he's not.
I
denying either.
tap Gloomgrub on the shoulders, and I pull out my slippers of spider climbing. And he would know that these allow me to walk or move up and down across vertical surfaces, while leaving my hands free. And I have the climbing. Yes, I know those would have been useful when we came out of the window, but we were in a hurry.
You do realize, my good friend, I can, in short, make us invisible. And the doctor will just have to trust us.
And with that, I think we'll leave the cliffhanger there. Oh man. So we will definitely have to do a follow-up to this.
All good with us. Maybe Alex can join halfway through.
Yeah, we can work him in somehow. He can watch the live stream, the not live stream.
I have an evil plan, so.
Yeah, if Alex is willing to watch the stream to get caught up on what's going on, we'll find a way to incorporate him. All right.
If for the follow up, if we could do it, the Friday after Easter, I'll have that free.
Which one's Easter Sunday?
The 17th.
So the 22nd.
Yes.
Yep.
Earth Day. I think I should probably be able to make that work, no problem. I don't know about everybody else, but we can push for that.
That gives us a month.
Yeah, pretty much. All right. You can go ahead and sign out on the stream.
Well, thank you for dropping in and watching, and we'll be seeing us at part 2 on April 22nd. So hopefully you'll be able to stop by and see what happens. Maybe we'll have a couple more players. All right. Have a good night. Hene Akhmatov, my friend.